Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master everyone to another exciting journey into the fascinating world of United States coins, where a small piece of metal that most people would pass by without a second thought can actually hold unimaginable value. Today we are going to explore one of the most intriguing stories in modern coin collecting, the 1977 one-dime coin, a coin that in some extraordinary cases has been valued at an astonishing $18 million because of its unique errors, minting mistakes, and unusual anomalies that set it apart from the ordinary pocket change you and I use every day. At first glance, a dime minted in 1977 might look no different from any other 10-cent piece featuring the familiar profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, but beneath its common appearance lies a world of numismatic mystery and possibility that continues to surprise collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. The year 1977 in United States coinage history was not thought to be particularly rare or remarkable at first, since tens of millions of dimes were struck by the U.S. Mint at different facilities. These coins were made primarily for circulation, so the idea that one of them could one day become worth millions might seem unbelievable. Yet history has shown us over and over that minting errors, rare varieties, and small production quirks can create coins that command fortunes far beyond their tiny face value. The 1977 dime is a striking example of this phenomenon. Understanding why such a coin could be worth $18 million requires us to explore not just the minting process itself, but the countless possibilities for human error, mechanical misalignments, and special circumstances at the mint that can lead to rare coins of enormous value. Every coin begins its life as a design struck onto a blank piece of metal, known as a planchette. The Roosevelt dime, introduced in 1946, has a long history and is still produced today. But the 1977 production run stands out because within its mass mintage certain errors were created that make collectors' hearts race. Some of these errors include double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, misaligned dies, wrong planchette errors, and rare anomalies in mint marks. Each of these mistakes results in a coin that is technically flawed but paradoxically much more valuable. For example, a dime struck on a planchette intended for another denomination can instantly become a multi-million-dollar rarity simply because of how unusual and scarce such an error is. The mint mark is another area that draws special attention when it comes to the 1977 dime. Coins were produced at different U.S. mint facilities, most notably Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and each coin carries a mint mark that indicates where it was struck. Mistakes in mint marks, such as repunched mint marks, misplaced marks, or even the absence of a mint mark when there should be one, are all possible sources of great value. For collectors, a 1977 dime with an unusual mint mark anomaly might be far rarer than its ordinary counterpart, and this rarity translates into astronomical value at auction.to. Appreciate why a seemingly tiny difference can mean millions of dollars. It helps to understand the mindset of numismatists. Collectors are always searching for coins that tell a unique story, coins that stand apart from the billions of standard issues. In 1977, minting technology was advanced enough to produce large numbers of coins with relative precision, yet it was not immune to errors. Even a small lapse in quality control could lead to a mistake that went unnoticed at the time but later emerged as a prized rarity. For example, an off-center strike where the design is not properly aligned with the planchette might look like an accident, but in the eyes of collectors, it is a treasure, especially when the date and mint mark are still visible. Now imagine a 1977 dime with multiple errors combined in one coin. Suppose it was struck slightly off-center, with a double die on Roosevelt's portrait, and also carried an unusual mint mark anomaly. Such a coin would be unlike any other, truly one of a kind. This uniqueness is precisely what drives the value sky high, in some extraordinary cases up to $18 million. Auctions of rare coins have shown time and again that collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for the right combination of rarity, historical significance, and uniqueness. The 1977 dime also has significance because of the era in which it was minted. The late 1970s were a period of economic change, with inflation impacting the value of money and coinage. The dime, a coin that was often overlooked compared to larger denominations, became the canvas for mistakes that would only be recognized decades later. The passage of time has given these coins new life in the numismatic world, where they are no longer just small pieces of change but keys to incredible fortunes. Let us take a closer look at some of the specific types of errors that can occur in a coin like the 1977 dime. A double die error happens when the die that strikes the coin has been misaligned or doubled during its creation. This leads to images on the coin that appear doubled, such as Roosevelt's profile or the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust. Collectors prize these coins because the doubling is clear and dramatic, turning an ordinary coin into a showpiece of minting history. In the case of a 1977 dime, a strong double die error combined with pristine condition could be worth an extraordinary sum. Another fascinating error is the wrong planchet error. This occurs when a dime is mistakenly struck on a blank intended for another coin, such as a penny or a foreign coin. Such errors are extremely rare, and when they happen, they immediately create a coin unlike anything else in circulation. Imagine finding a 1977 dime struck on a copper planchet meant for a cent, or even on a planchet meant for a quarter. These dramatic mistakes become some of the most valuable coins in existence. Off-center strikes are another source of immense value. If a coin is struck significantly off-center but still shows the date and mint mark, it becomes a collectible rarity. The 1977 dime, with its small size, makes such errors particularly striking because the misaligned image looks unusual and unique. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value, provided key features like the date are still visible. Mint mark errors also deserve special attention. The practice of adding mint marks was done manually in earlier times, and by 1977 some processes were still subject to human variation. Repunched mint marks, where the mark appears doubled or misaligned, are highly collectible. Likewise, a 1977 dime with a missing mint mark can be an anomaly worth millions, especially if it was supposed to carry one. Surface errors like die cracks, cuds, and clashes also add to a coin's uniqueness. A die crack is when the die used to strike the coin develops a fissure, leading to raised lines on the coin's surface. A cud is a blob-like raised area where a piece of the die has broken off. These features can turn a 1977 dime into a fascinating collectible that stands out from the standard issues. Condition is another crucial factor in determining value. A 1977 dime with errors that also happens to be in mint state, with no wear and strong luster, becomes exponentially more valuable. Collectors and grading agencies carefully evaluate every detail of the coin, and higher grades command higher prices. When an error coin is found in superb condition, its rarity and desirability skyrocket, sometimes leading to record-breaking prices in the millions. What makes the story of the 1977 dime even more intriguing is the idea that such coins may still be out there waiting to be discovered. Because dimes are such common coins, millions pass through people's hands every day without a second thought. The possibility that an $18 million rarity could be sitting in someone's pocket change is a thrilling thought for collectors and non-collectors alike. This is why many enthusiasts encourage people to check their coins carefully, because treasures can be hiding in plain sight. The numismatic world thrives on these discoveries. Stories of rare coins found in circulation or tucked away in old jars and drawers inspire people to look more closely at the coins they encounter. Each coin is a piece of history, and each has the potential to be extraordinary. The 1977 dime represents not just a piece of currency, but a mystery and a possibility, the idea that something small can hold great value if it is unique. As we explore the story of this coin, it's important to remember that the value of $18 million is not attached to every 1977 dime. Most are still worth just 10 cents. But the extraordinary examples that carry unique errors or minting anomalies have reached this astronomical value because they are one-of-a-kind rarities that cannot be duplicated. This uniqueness is what drives collectors to pay record-breaking prices, ensuring that coins like the 1977 dime will remain legends in numismatic circles. The excitement surrounding the 1977 dime is part of a larger fascination with error coins. Collectors often specialize in these unusual pieces because they represent mistakes in a system that usually strives for perfection. Every error tells a story of the minting process, of human oversight, or of mechanical failure, and every error is unique. No two error coins are exactly alike, which is why they are so prized. The idea that a simple dime could be worth $18 million challenges our everyday understanding of money. It reminds us that value is not only about the face value stamped onto a coin, but about the rarity, history, and desirability of the object itself. A dime that cost 10 cents to use in 1977. Today we are diving into an incredible story from the world of United States coins, a story that combines history, rarity, error minting, and the sheer thrill of coin collecting that can turn a simple pocket change item into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Imagine holding a dime in your hand, just 10 cents in face value, something that most people overlook every single day. But what if I told you that a specific 1993 D. Roosevelt dime could be worth as much as $13 million? Yes, you heard that right, a single dime that was minted in Denver in 1993, carrying an extraordinary value far beyond its original 10-cent purpose, all because of errors, mint mark mistakes, and the astonishing possibilities that make this coin so valuable and sought after. When most people think of dimes, they picture them as the smallest common coin in circulation, often lost in couch cushions, slipped into vending machines, or stacked into rolls of little significance. But in the fascinating world of numismatics, every coin has a story, and sometimes those stories are so unique that they transform ordinary currency into pieces of unimaginable wealth. The 1993 D-dime is one of those legendary coins, and in today's discussion we will explore how and why it achieved such mythical status. We'll look at the errors that can occur in minting, the role of the Denver Mint, the history of the Roosevelt dime, and how collectors and experts discovered that certain examples of this coin carried anomalies that skyrocketed their value. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why one small piece of silver-colored metal has captured the imagination of coin enthusiasts around the world and why it has been valued at $13 million. The Roosevelt dime itself has been in circulation since 1946, designed to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt after his passing in 1945. Replacing the Mercury dime, the Roosevelt dime was both a tribute and a practical coin design that carried the familiar portrait of FDR on the obverse and a torch flanked by an olive branch and oak branch on the reverse. For decades, this coin has been a staple in American commerce, made first in silver, then later in a copper-nickel-clad composition after 1965 when the United States transitioned away from silver in most everyday coinage. By 1993, the Roosevelt dime had been circulating for nearly half a century, and the Denver Mint was one of the main facilities striking them for distribution across the nation. Errors at the U.S. Mint are not common, but when they happen, they often create coins that intrigue collectors. There are many types of errors that can occur: double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, missing clad layers, repunched mint marks, and even coins struck on the wrong planchette. Each of these errors can create rarity and value, especially if they are noticeable and unique. The 1993 D-dime's incredible worth is tied to a combination of such anomalies. Reports from collectors and experts suggest that a small number of dimes minted that year in Denver displayed remarkable mistakes, from misaligned dies to doubled features, from missing details to unusual mint mark placements. These were not typical dimes, they stood out under careful examination, and once the numismatic community recognized their existence, their value skyrocketed. One of the most compelling aspects of this dime is the role of the mint mark. The D mark on the 1993 dime signifies that it was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the primary mints in the U.S. Along with Philadelphia, San Francisco, and later West Point, the Denver Mint has a long history of producing coins for circulation. Mint marks themselves can sometimes vary, especially when changes in dies or mechanical adjustments occur during production. For the 1993 D-dime, some examples appeared to have repunched or misaligned mint marks, where this D did not appear exactly as intended, or where its positioning was unusual compared to standard issues. These anomalies became highly desirable among collectors because they signified mistakes that slipped past quality control, but mint mark issues were only part of the story. There were also reports of die breaks or cracks appearing on some of these coins. A die break occurs when the metal die used to strike coins begins to wear out or fracture, leaving raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the finished coin. Far from being worthless, such imperfections can make a coin much more valuable, especially if they are dramatic and visible. A 1993 D-dime with a prominent die break might have an extra feature on Roosevelt's portrait or an unusual mark on the reverse torch and branches, creating a unique variation. Another kind of error that collectors found in the 1993 D-dime series was off-center strikes. These occur when the blank planchette is not seated properly in the press, causing the design to be stamped off-center. Some off-center strikes are only slightly noticeable, but others can result in a coin with large blank areas and a shifted design, which makes them extremely collectible. A 1993 D-dime struck 20% or 30% off-center could easily command high prices, and in combination with other anomalies like mint mark errors, the coin's rarity and desirability increased dramatically. In some instances, wrong planchette errors are also part of the discussion. Imagine a dime being struck not on its intended copper-nickel-clad planchette, but on a planchette meant for a foreign coin, a penny, or even a quarter. These mistakes are incredibly rare but have occurred throughout U.S. mint history. If a 1993 D-dime were discovered on the wrong metal or with unusual weight and composition, it would become a legendary find worth millions. The value of $13 million might sound unbelievable, but in numismatic markets, value is driven by rarity, demand, and historical significance. If only a handful of 1993 D-dimes with such remarkable errors exist, then their scarcity alone drives up the price. Add in the fascination of collectors who compete to own one of the rarest modern dimes, and the bidding wars can elevate the coin's value into the tens of millions. For comparison, other coins with famous minting errors, like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, have reached hundreds of thousands or even millions at auction. The 1993 D-dime joins that elite group, but its combination of anomalies and sheer mystery about how such flawed coins left the mint has made it legendary. To appreciate the magnitude of such a coin, one must also understand the Denver Mint itself. Located in Colorado, the Denver Mint has been striking coins since 1906 and has produced billions of coins for circulation. With such high output, errors can occasionally slip through, though the mint has strict quality controls. The fact that a coin like the 1993 D-dime could escape with errors suggests either a rare oversight or a particularly unusual mechanical mishap. These coins, once out in the world, likely entered circulation like any other dime, passing through countless hands before collectors began noticing their anomalies. This idea that a $13 million treasure could be sitting unnoticed in someone's change jar or coin roll is part of what makes the story so compelling. Collectors searching for rare coins often engage in coin roll hunting, going through rolls of dimes from banks in hopes of finding something unusual. The thrill of discovery keeps the hobby alive, and stories like the 1993 D-dime add fuel to that fire. Imagine being the person who spots a misaligned mint mark, or a doubled feature, or an off-center strike on a dime, and realizing that you're holding a fortune. That dream has motivated countless enthusiasts to keep looking closely at every coin they encounter. The 1993 D-dime's value is also tied to its condition. As with all coins, those in mint state condition, meaning they have not been circulated or show minimal wear, are far more valuable than worn examples. A 1993 D-dime with extraordinary errors in pristine condition would be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, whereas one with heavy circulation marks might be worth less, though still highly valuable compared to face value. Grading services like PCGS and NGC play an important role in certifying the authenticity and condition of such coins, giving buyers confidence when spending millions. And now let's dive deeper into the possibilities of what specific errors could exist on a 1993 D-dime and why each possibility adds to its allure. One fascinating error is the double die obverse. This occurs when the die itself is improperly manufactured with a doubled image, leading to features like Roosevelt's eye, lips, or date appearing doubled on the struck coin. These are among the most collectible errors because they are strikingly visible. If a 1993 D-dime exists with a double die obverse, especially on a prominent feature, it would be extraordinarily valuable. Another possible error is a missing clad layer. Modern dimes are made with an outer layer of copper nickel bonded to a pure copper core. Sometimes, the clad layer can be missing on one side, exposing a red or brown copper surface where the nickel should be. This type of error is dramatic and instantly recognizable. A 1993 D-dime with a missing clad layer would stand out immediately, and if only a few exist, their rarity would push their value into the millions. Transitional errors are another category. These occur when coins are struck using specifications from a previous year or an unintended design. Although by 1993 the Roosevelt dime had a stable design and composition, accidents can still happen. A transitional planchette error, such as being struck on leftover blanks from another denomination or year, would be almost mythical in rarity. In addition, rotated die errors could also contribute to the mystique of the 1993 D-dime.